Introduction, Dramatis Personae and Prologue for Esther by Jean Racine. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Esther, a tragedy founded on Holy Scripture, by Jean Racine, translated by Robert Bruce Boswell. Introduction. Esther, the first of Racine's two sacred dramas, is a tragedy in the Aristotelian acceptance of the term as being concerned with a great and noble action, and calculated to excite generous pity and fear, though the denouement is a happy one for the heroine and her compatriots. It was composed by Racine when he was in his 50th year, and acted at the Maison de Saint Cyr in 1689. The incidents are in strict accordance with the biblical narrative, but our poet was obliged to invent the character of Elizabeth in order to furnish Esther with the confidant deemed so indispensable in the French drama of the period, while Hydaspes is made to perform a similar office for Haman. Racine rejects the testimony of Herodotus to the purely monotheistic nature of the Persian religion. In this he has some ground for justification, but in representing the Persians as idolaters he is certainly wrong, and probably mistaken also in identifying Ahasuerus with Darius, son of Hydaspes. In Esther, Racine for the first time introduces a chorus, as in the ancient Greek drama, whose songs, set to music by Moreau, gratefully relieve the monotony of the somewhat stilted dialogue. The unity of place is, moreover, observed less rigidly than usual. A change of scene, though still within the limits of the royal palace, accompanying the rise of the curtain for each of the three acts. Dramatis Personae. Ahasuerus, King of Persia.
Read by Algie Pag.
Esther, Queen of Persia.
Read by Shrimpfish.
Mordecai, Esther's uncle, read by Alan Mapstone. Haman, favourite of Ahasuerus,
read by Zach Martin.
Zeresh, Haman's wife,
read by Inkel.
Hydaspes, Chamberlain of the Inner Palace,
read by Greg Giordano.
Asaph, another of the king's officers,
read by Beeswax Candle.
Elizabeth, confidential friend of Esther,
read by Sonali.
A Jewish maiden,
read by Agnes Robert Bear.
Another maiden,
read by Inkel.
Another maiden,
read by Jessie Percival.
One of the youngest Jewish maidens,
read by Rapunzelina.
Stage directions,
read by Larry Wilson.
The scene is laid in Shushan in the king's palace. The prologue is spoken by Piety. Prologue. From the divine Creator's blessed abode, I to this dwelling place of grace descend, which innocence my constant comrade haunts, and finds no surer refuge 'neath the skies. Here, far from tumult, by my hand is formed, in holiest offices a rising race. I nourish in their hearts the fruitful seed of virtues that may sanctify the world. A king, my guardian, a victorious king, has trusted to my care this precious charge. 'Tis he has gathered here these timid doves, else widely scattered, without help or guides. Raising this palace at his gates for them, he bids them find peace and abundance here. Great God, forget not thou this pious work. Let all the care he for thy glory takes be graven by thy hand within the book, where the predestined names of kings beloved of heaven are written. Ever dost thou hear me? Am I not Piety, thy daughter dear, whose voice thou knowest? And this king's warm vows I bear, and from the altar of thy love kindle his heart. The fervent zeal that burns his soul with a consuming fire for thee is spread from east to west. Thou seest him daily before thee bow his crowned head in worship, and by his august example, confounding pride, adore thy sacred threshold. Of all earth's monarchs he alone maintains thy quarrel, and, inspired with holy ardour, fights for thine honour. Jealousy and greed conspire against thee, for foul heresy contending. Discord rages everywhere. All, as it seems, forsake thy holy standards, and hell, with dismal damps enshrouding all, has cast its darkness over saintliest eyes. He only, grounded upon faith unchanging, with ready eye and ear seeks naught but thee, and, vanquishing the fiend's vain subtlety, sustains the entire fabric of religion. Judge thine own cause, great God, make bare today thine arm, that selfsame arm which fought for him, when the Rhine saw so many times dispersed the armies of the nations that had sworn to crush him. Those same foes, in proud defiance, come to meet shipwreck on the rocks before, found fatal. Everywhere firm barriers burst, forth from their ruined forts they swarm across his borders. Thou hast given him a son ready to fight, to aid, obey, command, a son whom, like himself, conquest attends, his highest aim to gain his father's heart. A son whose love submits to all his wishes, the terror and despair of all his foes. Worthy to rank with those heroic souls thy justice sends, the king says go, he springs forward with joy, his vengeance falls like lightning, and he returns calmly to lay the spoils down at his feet. But while a mighty monarch thus rights my wrongs, you who here taste delights so pure, if he permits a moment's rest to his brave heart, call to your blameless pastime this hero. Esther's glorious history enact, and impious wiles by faith subdued. And ye, for whom wild passions have a charm, kindled by fictions frivolous and vain, who love profane and pagan spectacles, whose ears are not attuned to solemn words, the sacred joys I bring are not for you. Fly, for all here breathes God and peace and truth. End of introduction, dramatis personae and prologue. Read by Alan Mapstone in Oxford, England.
Act 1 of Esther by Jean Racine. Translated by Robert Bruce Boswell. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Esther, a tragedy founded on Holy Scripture. Act 1. Scene, Esther's chamber. Scene 1. Esther, Elizabeth.
Is't thou Elizabeth? Thrice happy day! Blessed be heaven that to my prayers restores the friend of earliest years, like me, a daughter of Benjamin, who, galled by the same yoke of dire oppression, mourned with me the woes of captured Zion. Ah, how memory dwells still fondly on the visions of the past! But thou, thine Esther's glory dost thou know? 6 months and more has search for thee been made. What clime, what desert so remote could hide thee?
Stricken with grief at rumours of thy death, I lived a life apart from all mankind, and waited only for that life of sadness to end, when suddenly a prophet spake. Too long hast thou bewailed the loss of one who yet survives. Rise, take thy way to Shushan. There shalt thou see the object of thy tears, seated in pomp and honor on a throne. Zion, said he, comfort thy timid tribes. The day draws nigh when the Lord God of hosts shall make the might of his strong arm appear, for he has heard his people's cry for help. He spake, and I, with joy and wonder moved, set off in haste, found entrance to this palace, and see a spectacle that fills mine eyes with admiration worthy of the arm that saved our fathers. Proud Ahasuerus his captive crowns, and falls before the feet of a fair Jewess. By what secret springs has heaven accomplished this unhoped for triumph?
Thou mayest have heard the well-known story told of haughty Vashti's fall, whose place I fill, when Persia's king, inflamed with sore displeasure, banished the queen both from his throne and bed, but could not drive her from his thoughts so soon. Long Vashti reigned in his offended soul. Then must their search be made through all his realms for some new object that might wean him from her. From Ind to Hellespont his slaves went forth. Daughters of Egypt showed themselves at Shushan. E'en the wild Scythian and the Parthian sent their maidens to contend for beauty's prize, the scepter. I was being then brought up in secret under the wise, watchful eyes of Mordecai, to whom I owe so much. When by the stroke of death I lost my parents, to me, his brother's offspring, he supplied the place of father, and of mother too. The Jews were then sore vexed, night and day. He drew me out of my obscurity, and their deliverance to my feeble hands, confiding, he possessed me with the hope of empire. Trembling I obeyed his will. Hither I came, but hid my race and country. Who could recount the jealousies and plots hatched by the multitude of rivals here, who, all disputing for so high a favor, waited their sentence at the monarch's eyes? Each had supporters, each a powerful faction. One boasted the advantages of birth, another borrowed help from skilful hands to deck herself in robes magnificent. But I placed all my trust in heaven's support. my only art the sacrifice of tears. At last to me the summons of the king came, and before his presence I appeared. God holds the hearts of monarchs in his hands. He brings prosperity to guileless souls, while in their schemes of pride the wicked fall entrapped. My feeble charms appeared to move the king. In thoughtful silence long he gazed, and heaven, that turned the balance in my favor, worked doubtless on his heart the while. At length, with eyes wherein a look of kindness reigned, "Be thou my queen," he said, and therewithal, with his own hand upon my brow, he placed his diadem. Then he, to show his joy, loaded the great ones of his court with gifts, and throughout all his realms his bounty bade his subjects to the royal marriage feast. During those days of jocund mirth, alas, what secret shame and grief within me burned! "Esther," said I, "Esther is clad in robes of state, and half the world obeys her sceptre, while the grass grows over the walls of Salem. Zion, the haunt of unclean reptiles, sees her holy temple scattered heaps of stones, and ceased the festivals of Israel's God."
Hast thou not told thy sorrow to the king?
"Until this day he knows not who I am. He by whom under heaven my fate is ruled forbids me yet this secret to reveal."
Is Mordecai allowed an entrance here?
"His love for me sharpens his wit. Though absent, I ask his counsel, and his wise replies find countless ways and means to reach mine ears. No father for the welfare of his child has more concern. Already warned in secret by him, I to the king made known a plot formed by 2 household slaves against his life. Meanwhile my warm attachment to our tribe has filled this palace with young maids of Zion, fair tender flowers beaten by the storms of life, transplanted to an alien clime with me. Apart from witnesses profane, I make their training my chief care and study, and, hither flying from the flattering court, sick of vain pomp, retired within myself, I come to kneel before Jehovah's feet, and taste the bliss of self-forgetfulness. But from the Persians I conceal their race. Now must I call them. Come, my children, come, erst my companions in captivity, the patriarch Jacob's young posterity."
Scene 2. Esther, Elizabeth, chorus. A Jewish maiden singing behind the stage.
Sister, whose invitation greets our ear?
Those pleasing accents well I know. It is the Queen.
My sisters, let us go. It is the Queen we hear.
She calls us.
Let us hasten and draw near.
All the chorus entering from different directions.
It is the Queen we hear.
She calls us. Let us hasten and draw near.
What an array of innocence and beauty before mine eyes gather from every side! What modesty and grace each countenance adorn! All hail, hope of a holy stock! May your pure aspirations mount to heaven like the sweet smoke of incense. May our God regard you with a look of loving kindness.
My children, sing one of those sacred songs wherewith so oft, mingling your tears with mine, ye have lamented Zion's misery.
A Jewish maiden alone.
Where is the light that over Salem shone, the glory that the world admired of yore? Thou art but dust, that splendor nothing more than a sad memory of brightness gone. Zion, exalted once to heaven's height, but now brought down to the abyss of hell, may dumbness my ingratitude requite, if in my songs I e'er forget to tell, till my last breath, what sorrows thee befell.
Ye banks of Jordan, plains beloved of heaven,
each fertile valley and each holy hill,
to which God's countless wonders fame have given,
from our dear fatherland, sad exiles still,
this time of trouble shall we ne'er fulfill.
A Jewish maiden alone.
When Zion shall I see thy ramparts raised, thy lofty towers rebuilt in all their pride, by festal throngs pressing from every side? When shall I hear the God of Israel praised?
Ye banks of Jordan, plains beloved of heaven,
each fertile valley and each holy hill,
to which God's countless wonders fame have given.
From our dear fatherland, sad exiles still,
This time of trouble shall we ne'er fulfill?
Scene 3. Esther, Mordecai, Elizabeth, the chorus.
Who dares these sacred precincts to invade? Is't thou, my father? See I Mordecai? Has that an angel of the Lord outspread his holy wing to hide thee while he guided thy footsteps hither? But whence comes that air of gloom, that robe of sackcloth, and those ashes cast on thine head? What news?
Unhappy queen, O guiltless people, to a barbarous fate condemned! Read the hateful, cruel sentence. We all are lost, and Israel's race is run.
Just heaven, my blood is frozen in my veins.
The name of Jew is to be blotted out. To bloody Haman are we all betrayed. The swords, the knives already are prepared, and the whole nation meets one common doom. Haman, vile Haman, the Amalekite, arms all his influence for this fatal blow. The king believes him and has signed this edict. Bias against us by those lying lips, he thinks that nature's very self abhors us. His orders have been given. In all his states the fatal day is fixed for our destruction. Heavens, will ye look on this atrocious slaughter? The sword will pity neither sex nor age. All will be prey for tigers and for vultures. In 10 days hence this dreadful day arrives.
O God, to whom these deadly plots are known, wilt thou forsake the remnant of thy people?
Who will defend us if thou fight not for us?
Leave tears, my Esther, to these tender babes. The only hope of thine unhappy kinsmen rests upon thee. Help them. But time is precious, it flies, and soon will bring the destined day for Israel's name to be wiped out forever. Fired with the ardour of God's holy prophets, go, boldly tell thy lineage to the king.
Alas, dost thou not know what laws severe guard the king's privacy from all intruders? In the seclusion of the inner palace none may behold his awful majesty. 'Tis death without his summons to presume to show oneself before the royal presence, unless the king that instant should extend his sceptre to be kissed as sign of pardon. This fatal law affects all ranks alike. In either sex the crime is still the same. Entitled as I am to share his throne, herein I am a subject like another, and I must wait, if I would speak to him, until he seeks me, or else bids me come.
What? When thou seest thy country perishing, dost thou set store, my daughter, by thy life? God speaks, and dost thou fear a mortal's wrath? Nay, Esther, canst thou count thy life thine own? Belongs it not to those from whom thy blood derived its source? Belongs it not to God who gave it? When he led thee to the throne, who knows if it was not to save his people? Ponder it well. God has not chosen thee to win vain admiration from the gaze of heathen eyes, to charm the tribes of Asia. For nobler ends doth he reserve his saints. Self-sacrifice for him and for his flock is the true portion of a child of God. To risk thy life for his name's sake is bliss supreme. Not that his arm needs our support. Earth's mightiest kings cannot withstand his power. 'Twere vain for them to league themselves against him. If he but show himself, their strength dissolves. He speaks, and they return to dust. The sea retreats before his voice, the heavens tremble. He looks upon the universe as nothing, and feeble mortals, playthings of an hour, are all as though they were not in his sight. If he has suffered Haman's wickedness, 'tis only, be assured, to prove thy zeal. 'Tis he who, stirring me to this bold step, dear Esther, has vouchsafed to march before me. And if his voice must strike thine ear in vain, we shall behold his wonders none the less. He can confound this Haman, he can burst our chains asunder by the weakest hand the world contains. But shouldst thou spurn his grace, it may be thou wilt perish with thy race.
Go, and let all the Jews that dwell at Shushan, in earnest supplication night and day, unite with thee to lend me all the help that prayer affords, and keep a 3 days' fast severe. Already has dark night descended. Tomorrow, when the sun shall bring back day, content to meet my death if die I must, I will go forth, and for my country offer myself. Let all retire.
The chorus withdraws to the back of the stage. Scene 4. Esther, Elizabeth, the chorus.
O God, my King, behold me trembling and alone before thee. How oft my father in my childhood taught me that thou didst swear a covenant with us, when, to prepare a people for thyself, it pleased thee in thy love to choose our fathers. Yea, thine own holy mouth did promise them posterity that should endure forever. Alas, this people has despised thy law, the nation of thy choice has been unfaithful. She has cast off her husband and her father, to pay adulterous vows to other gods, and now she stoops beneath the stranger's yoke. But to be slaves is not enough. Our lives are threatened, our proud conquerors mock our tears, to their own gods ascribe their victories, and with one mortal blow would fain today destroy thy name, thy people, and thy worship. Shall then a traitor, after all thy deeds of wondrous might, make void thy covenant, rob all mankind of thy most precious gift, the Holy One, long promised, long expected? No, no, forbid the Gentiles in their fury, drunk with our blood, to shut the only mouths which hymn thy praises throughout all the world. Confound their gods that are no gods at all. And as for me, whom thou hast placed among these infidels, thou knowest how I hate their sinful feasts, and count as profanations their table and their offerings and rites. This very pomp to which I am condemned, this diadem that I am forced to wear, on days of high solemnity and pride, I trample underfoot when all alone. To these vain guards, preferring dust and ashes, and take no pleasure but in tears like these. I have been waiting thine appointed time, to venture boldly in thy people's cause. The hour is come, and I, with prompt submission, will brave the dreadful presence of the King. 'Tis in thy name I go. Guide thou my steps before this lion fierce that knows thee not. Command his wrath to sleep at sight of me, and lend me gracious words to charm his ear. The winds and tempests of the skies obey thee. Turn thou his rage against our enemies.
Scene 5. The chorus. All this scene is sung. A Jewish maiden alone.
Faithful companions, to our tears and sighs let us give vent, nor cease to sob and moan. While towered those holy hills we raise our eyes, whence innocence can look for help alone. What terrors round us rise! Weep, Israel, weep thy total overthrow. Ne'er was there known so just a cause for woe as ours beneath the skies.
What terrors round us rise!
Was't not enough the hateful conqueror's hand should have destroyed Magister Zion's charms, and led her children captive from the land?
O terrible alarms!
Like feeble sheep, mid ravening wolves we stand, our sighs to heaven, our only alms.
O terrible alarms!
Let me cast off these ornaments and tear the veil that decks my head.
Sackcloth and ashes let us rather wear, meet for the banquet dread by impious Haman spread.
Let us cast off these ornaments and tear
the veil that decks each head.
On every side terror and bloodshed reign. The aged and the young alike are slain. The sister and the brother, the daughter with the mother. The dying father clasps his son in vain. What scattered heaps of mangled corpses lie, unburied on the ground, while leopards prowl around, and make thy saints their food, great God on high.
Alas, what have I done? Can one so young deserve a fate so dire? Scarce has the promise of my life begun to open, ere it falls doomed to expire, like blossom that ne'er sees a second sun. Alas, what have I done? Can one so young deserve a fate so dire?
Unhappy victims, we of others' crimes, what boots is our sad fortune to deplore? Our fathers sinned, our fathers are no more. We bear the vengeance due to earlier times.
The Lord of hosts whom we adore,
will ne'er let righteous blood be spilt,
confounding innocence with guilt.
Let not the heathen say, where then is Israel's God? Let him display his boasted power today.
This jealous God, this God of matchless might, quake, nations of the world! This jealous God, this God of matchless might, alone commands the depth, commands the height. By him heaven bolts are hurled. No other God can make the darkness bright.
He overthrows the mighty in their pride,
places the meek and humble at his side.
The Lord of hosts whom we adore,
will ne'er let righteous blood be spilt,
confounding innocence with guilt.
O God, whom glory hovers o'er,
who art in robes of light arrayed,
who ridest where wild tempests roar,
on cherubs' wings as on thy throne conveyed.
Thou who art pleased that simple babes should raise with angel hosts their voices in thy praise.
See thou what perils round us rise.
Give honour to thy name, we pray,
nor let thy glory pass away
to foreign gods whom we despise.
Arm thyself, Lord, thy people to defend, and as the sea saw thee of old descend, that wicked men may be inclined to fear thy wrath. Let them be like the dust before the wind, swept from thy path.
See thou what perils round us rise.
Give honour to thy name, we pray,
nor let thy glory pass away
to foreign gods whom we despise.
End of Act 1. Act 2 of Esther by Jean Racine. Translated by Robert Bruce Boswell. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2. The Throne Room of Ahasuerus. Scene 1. Haman, Hydaspes.
What? When the light of day scarce 'gins to dawn, dost thou dare bring me to this hall of terrors?
Thou knowest that my faithfulness is trusted. These doors are shut and opened at my bidding, mine only. Come, elsewhere we may be heard.
What is this secret, then, that thou wouldst tell me?
Honored, my lord, by thee with countless favors, I ever bear in mind that I have sworn to show thee without falsehood or disguise whatever mysteries this palace holds. A melancholy cloud enwraps the king. This very night a frightful dream disturbed him. While all around was hushed in peaceful silence, his voice was heard in cries of agony. I ran and found him with disordered speech, complaining of a peril nigh at hand, a secret foe, a daring ravisher. I, in the name of Esther, passed his lips. In horrors such as these he spent the night, but tired at last of trying to recall a vanished dream, its phantoms to dispel, he bade those annals to be brought, wherein the records of his reign, with care collected, are written out each day by faithful hands. Each service rendered, each offence is there, inscribed for gratitude or punishment. I left the king reclining on his couch, more calm and listening with attentive ear.
What portion of his life did he select?
He is reviewing all those glorious times, since, by the choice of fate, Ahasuerus was called to sit upon the throne of Cyrus.
Has then this dream escaped his memory?
From all Chaldea's most renowned diviners, those have been gathered who can best interpret dark messages from heaven in doubtful dreams. But why these signs of sudden agitation? What have I said to cause thee such dismay? Has happy Haman then some secret care?
How canst thou ask, knowing how I am placed? Feared, hated, envied, sometimes more wretched than any victim of my utmost vengeance.
On whom has heaven ever looked more kindly? Thou seest the whole world prostrate before thee.
Not all the world. Each day there is a man, a worthless slave, who dares defy and scorn me.
Who is this enemy of king and country?
Say, dost thou know the name of Mordecai?
What? That vile leader of an impious race?
Aye, he forsooth.
And can so weak a foe disturb the peace of one so far above him?
The saucy fellow ne'er bows down before me. In vain, on bended knees, all own the marks of favor that the mightiest of kings awards me. When no Persian dares to lift his forehead bent to earth in sacred homage, he, proudly seated, never moves his head, brands due obeisance as impiety, confronts me with seditious looks, nor deigns so much, at least, as to cast down his eyes. Moreover, he besets the palace gate. Whatever be the hour I leave or enter, his hateful countenance offends and haunts me. Aye, in my restless sleep I see him still. This morning, though I had forestalled the dawn, I found him covered o'er with dust and ashes, his raiment rent, cheek pale, but in his eye gleamed the same proud defiance as before. My friend, whence comes this daring insolence? Thou knowest all that passes in the palace. Tell me, is any voice here raised for him? What is the broken reed on which he leans?
My lord, you know his timely information exposed the murderous plot that Teresh planned. The grateful king then promised to reward him, but since that time seems to have thought of it no more.
With thee I will throw off disguise. I have improved the injustice of my lot. Brought as a slave to Persia when a child, I rule the empire now where I was sold. My riches yield not to the wealth of kings. Children surround me to maintain my power. I only lack the royal diadem. And yet, how blind are mortals to their boons! The passing sweetness of this heap of honors makes but a light impression on my heart. This Jew who sits before the palace gates plunges 1,000 daggers in my breast, and all my grandeur is to me insipid, so long as shines the sun upon this wretch.
10 days, and he will vex thy sight no more. He and his race are promised to the vultures.
Ah, but the time is long to my impatience. 'Tis he, I will not hide from thee my vengeance. 'Tis he who, scorning to bow down before me, has brought them all under my arm to blast them. A single victim is for me too little. Revenge, if feebly wreaked, tempts fresh transgression. A man like Haman, when his wrath is roused, in his just fury cannot leap too far. There must be chastisement at which the world will tremble when it weighs the punishment with the offense. Be a whole nation drowned in blood, and be it said in times to come, there was a shameless people once, the Jews. Spread over all the earth its face they covered. One of them dared to draw upon himself the wrath of Haman, and his nation perished.
It is not then the blood of Amalek that secretly incites thee to destroy them?
Sprung as I am from that unhappy stock, eternal hatred I might well have felt for those who slaughtered the Amalekites. E'en to their flocks and herds no living thing was spared, and hardly did a wretched remnant escape the sword. But mine own exaltation engrosses every faculty I have, and little room is left for claims of blood. I need no further motive than the offense of Mordecai. Against them, then, I stirred the king, inventing falsehoods, barbing slanders, alarmed him for his honor, for his life. I showed them rich and powerful and seditious, their God himself the foe of other gods. How long shall such a people be allowed to breathe, and with their impious worship taint thy realms? A foreign race to Persia's laws, opposed they live a life apart from all. They study only to disturb our peace, hated by all men. All mankind they hate. Crush them before their insolence has reached its ripeness. Fill thy coffers with their spoils. I spake, and was believed. The king's own seal of power supreme was straightway to my hand committed. Go, said he, secure my peace, destroy those wretches, take the spoil thyself. Thus the whole nation was condemned at once. I with the king settled the day of slaughter. But my heart thirsts after this caitiff's blood, and that his death should be delayed is torture. A secret trouble poisons all my joy. Why must I see the Jew for 10 days more?
And canst thou not destroy him with a word? Speak, and the king will leave him in thy hands.
I watch to seize a favorable moment. Both thou and I know how the royal will is stubborn, and how oft in sudden transports it breaks the springs of all our strategy. But I torment me with fantastic fears. What is the life of Mordecai to him?
Why linger then? Hence, quickly give command to raise the shameful instrument of death.
I hear sound. I go. Should the king call me, do thou...
Enough.
Scene 2. Ahasuerus, Hydaspes, Asaph, royal attendants.
So then, without this warning, 2 traitors would have slain me in my bed? Let Asaph stay, and all the rest withdraw.
Scene 3. Ahasuerus, Asaph. Ahasuerus seated on his throne.
I must confess I almost had forgotten the murderous scheme planned by this pair of traitors, and I have twice grown pale at a recital that leaves its stamp of terror on my heart. I see how punishment on guilt attended, so that the miscreants breathed their last in torments. But he, my zealous subject, whose keen eye traced the dark thread of their nefarious plot, who showed me hands already raised to strike, and by whose means Persia was saved with me. Has he been honoured, or received reward for faithful service?
He was promised much. I know no more.
Oh, culpable neglect! Inevitable consequence of cares pressing upon a prince like boisterous waves, in quick succession to new objects ever drawing his thoughts. The past is swallowed up like lightning's flash. What with the clamorous present, fears for the future, every hour a crowd of eager suitors, vaunting their deserts for selfish aims, he finds no faithful friend to guard his prince's honour from reproach, or to remind him of forgotten merit, while all are eager to point out fit objects for punishment. Ah, rather let a wrong scape vengeance than a benefit so rare go unrewarded, for he risked his life to save his king. This man of matchless zeal, say, lives he yet?
His eyes behold this sun.
Then why has he not sooner claimed his meed? What distant land hides him from wealth and honours?
His usual seat is at the palace gates. There, without blaming destiny or thee, he drags along a life of misery.
So much the less should I forget the virtue forgetful of itself. Tell me his name once more.
The name I read was Mordecai.
What countryman?
Since I must tell the truth, one of those captives who were doomed to die, brought from the banks of Jordan to Euphrates.
A Jew, then? Gracious heaven! When my life was threatened by mine own ungrateful subjects, the kindness of a Jew baffled their efforts. A Jew preserved me from the sword of Persians. But since he saved me, be he what he may, it matters not. Ho, some one!
Scene 4. Ahasuerus, Hydaspes, Asaph.
Sire?
Go, see if any of my nobles wait without.
Haman came hither ere the dawn of day.
Well, let him enter. He may throw some light on this affair.
Scene 5. Ahasuerus, Haman, Hydaspes, Asaph.
Prop of my throne, approach. Soul of my counsels, who hast oft relieved my hand, exhausted with the sceptre's weight. I feel the secret stings of self-reproach. I know thy zeal devoted and sincere, thy tongue a stranger to deceitful words, thy constant aim my interest alone. Then tell me what a generous prince should do, to heap the highest honours on a subject whom he esteems. How can I recompense fidelity and virtue as becomes a mighty monarch? To my gratitude impose no bounds. Remember the vast power I wield.
Haman aside.
'Tis for thyself that thou art called to speak. Who else so worthy of reward?
What thinkest thou?
I in my thoughts review the use and custom of the kings of Persia, but I recall them all in vain. For what are they to rule thy conduct? Thine should rather serve as a model to thy late descendants, if thou wouldst recognize a subject's zeal. Bethink thee honor only has a charm for generous souls. And my advice, O king, is that this happy mortal be arrayed in royal purple, wearing on his brow the sacred diadem, and let him ride one of thy steeds, in pompous trappings decked, before all eyes in Shushan, and to crown his glory, let the noblest man at court, the next to thee in riches and in power, hold his proud courser's bridle as he walks magnificently clad, and cry aloud in all the public places, mortals bow with reverence due, 'tis thus the king delighteth to honor merit in a faithful subject.
I recognize the wisdom that inspires thy words, with mine own wishes in agreement. Go, lose no time. Let all that thou hast said be put in execution to the letter. Virtue shall not be buried in oblivion. 'Tis Mordecai that I delight to honour, the Jew that sitteth at the palace gates. Order his triumph thou, and walk before him. Let Shushan's streets re-echo with his name, and all men, when they see him, bow the knee. I would be now alone.
Haman aside.
Gods!
Scene 6. Ahasuerus.
Beyond doubt, 'tis honour quite unheard of, such a subject never enjoyed before. But all the greater this Jew's reward, the more detestable his race. Thereby I make my life more safe, by showing how I fear to be ungrateful, and how I can distinguish between guilt and innocence. For none the less will I destroy this rebel crew, whose crimes...
Scene 7. Ahasuerus, Esther, Elizabeth, Tamar, some of the chorus. Esther enters leaning on Elizabeth. 4 Jewish maidens bear her train.
Who enters unbidden? Who thus insolently courts destruction? Gods! What? Esther, is it thou? I called thee not.
My daughters, I'm undone. Support your dying queen.
She falls in a swoon.
Powers of heaven! What deadly paleness suddenly o'erspreads her lovely face? What dost thou fear, my sister? So harsh a law was never made for thee. Live! I hold out to thee the golden sceptre, sure pledge and token of my clemency.
Whose welcome voice is this that bids me live, and calls my fluttering soul back to my breast?
Dost thou not know thy husband's voice, my Esther? Come to thyself. Once more I bid thee live.
The majesty that's stamped upon thy brow has ever filled thy servant's eyes with fear. Consider how that brow, with awful frown, bent upon me, could not but terrify my troubled soul. I seemed to see thee ready to crush me into dust, as from thy throne loud thunders pealed. What heart was e'er so bold that would not shudder as the lightning flashed from my lord's eyes? Thus does the wrath of heaven.
O sun! Immortal torch of heavenly light! Mine own heart feels the shock that made hers cease its office, and I tremble at the sight of her distress. Calm, calm this agitation, Esther, my queen, sole mistress of the heart of Persia's monarch. Only prove the love with which it burns. Say, shall I give thee half of all my realm?
Ah, can it be that thou, dreaded throughout the world, before whose throne all kneel and kiss the dust, canst cast a look so gracious on thy slave, and deign to offer that heart as hers?
Believe me, dearest Esther, this sceptre, and the homage fear inspires, have little charm for me. The pomp of power is oft a burden to its sad possessor. In thee, thee only, do I find a grace that never palls, nor loses its attraction. How sweet the charm of loveliness and virtue! In Esther breathes the very soul of peace and innocence. Dark shadows flee before her. She pours bright sunshine into days of gloom. With thee beside me, seated on this throne, I fear no more the wrath of adverse stars. My diadem, fair Esther, seems to borrow a lustre from thy brow that gods themselves might envy. Answer boldly then, nor hide what urgent purpose leads thy footsteps hither. What anxious cares perplex thy troubled breast? Thine eyes are raised to heaven as I speak. Tell me thy wish. It shall be gratified, if its success depends on human hand.
O kindness, reassuring to the heart it honours! No light matter prompts my prayer. Lo, misery or happiness awaits me. Which it shall be hangs trembling on thy will. One word from thee, ending my sore suspense, can render Esther happiest of queens.
Why torture me with curiosity?
If Esther has found favour in thy sight, if e'er thou wast disposed to grant her wishes, vouchsafe thy presence at her board to-day. Let Esther entertain her sovereign lord, and Haman be admitted to the banquet. Then, in his hearing, I will dare to utter what in his absence I must still conceal.
How restless and impatient thou dost make me! Yet all shall be according to thy wishes.
To his attendants.
Let the queen's invitation be conveyed to Haman's ear. Bid him not fail to come.
Scene 8. Ahasuerus, Esther, Elizabeth, Tamar, Hydaspes, some of the chorus.
The wise Chaldeans, called by thy command, are all assembled in the hall of audience.
A strange dream, Esther, occupies my thoughts, and in their answer thou too art concerned as well as I. Come, and behind a curtain hear what is said, and help me with the light of thy clear judgment. For myself and thee I fear some secret foe.
Follow me, Tamar. You timid maidens, stay till I return, and, sheltered by this throne, fear no rude eye.
Scene 9. Elizabeth, some of the chorus. The scene is partly spoken and partly sung.
What think ye, sisters, of our present state? Esther or Haman, which will win the day? The issue of the struggle we await. Will it the power of man or God display? Ye saw what wrath that struck us all with fear, flashed from the monarch's eyes in glance severe.
It dazzled like the lightning in the sky.
And when he speaks, 'twas like the thunder's roar.
How did that wrath, so terrible before, all in a moment vanish from his eye?
That stern heart in a moment has grown mild, more like a gentle lamb than lion wild. God, our own God, has made the storm to cease, and lulled the waves to peace.
God, our own God, has made the storm to cease, and lulled the waves to peace.
As flowing streams obey the hand that marks the course that they should go, and on the land fertily bestow where'er their waters stray, thus thou, O God, whose will our own doth guide, canst turn the hearts of kings from side to side.
Ah, sisters, how I dread the dismal mists that shroud the monarch's eyes from heaven's light. The worship of his gods distorts his sight.
Our hateful service all his zeal enlists.
To all the lifeless fires that heaven displays, he impious homage pays.
His palace with their images is stored.
Unhappy ye who leave man's sovereign Lord, who have the work of your own hands adored.
O Israel's God, scatter the shades of night. When will compassion touch thee for our tears? Shrouded in darkness all the world appears. Rend thou the veil that hides thee from men's sight. O God of Israel, let dawn arise. How long wilt thou be hidden from our eyes?
More softly, sisters, lest we be betrayed to unbelieving ears in ambush laid.
Daughter of Abraham, can fear already make thy voice feeble and thy faith unsteady? What wouldst thou do, should impious Haman try to make thy timid lips blaspheme the Almighty, while the threatening gleam of his uplifted sword struck terror on thine eye?
It may be that the king, in wrath profane, if we to bow, the adoring knee refuse, before dumb idols vile and vain, shall give command that we be slain. Then life or death, dear sister, wilt thou choose?
The God I love, how can my lips betray? Shall I adore a God deaf, dumb, and blind, hewn from a tree laid prostrate by the wind, that cannot help itself in any way?
Those who such helpless gods implore waste breath on empty air.
Give them and all the demons they adore confusion and despair.
Let heart and mouth and every power I have praise the great God, who life and nurture gave in trouble and distress. My soul his goodness bless. E'en should he slay me, him will I confess. Let heart and mouth and every power I have praise the great God, who life and nurture gave.
Shall impious pomp my admiration win?
Let others envy wealth that follows sin.
The wicked seem to lack no happiness. Gold glitters on their dress. In riches and in pride they know no bound. The voice of mirth is in their dwellings found. They wake from sleep at music's dulcet sound. No hardships and no want their heart oppress.
To crown the wicked man's prosperity, he lives again in his posterity. Gay troops of children round his board grow up, and share his joy from the same brimming cup.
All the rest is sung.
The world counts as happy all such men as these, on whom good fortune in abundance flows.
But happier far those who Jehovah please, and in his holy name their trust repose.
Food for his frivolous desires to find, the foolish man consumes himself in vain, for wormwood will remain, and pleasure's cup behind.
The wicked soul is like the troubled sea, that tosses to and fro and cannot cease. True joy can only be in innocence and peace.
O peace, sweet joy that gives, O light that never dies,
New beauty shall surprise the happy soul that in thy favour lives.
O peace, sweet joy that gives,
O light that never dies, happy the soul that in thy presence lives.
O peace, sweet joy that gives, O light that never dies.
new beauty shall surprise the happy soul that in thy presence lives.
O peace, sweet joy that gives.
No peace for the wicked, he seeks her in vain, no tranquil repose shall he ever attain. From vengeance he cannot depart, and remorse lays a finger of ice on his heart.
In a moment the glory of wickedness dies, forever consumed in the dust of the grave. But more bright than the dawn, O my God, shall arise thy servants who fear thee and walk in thy ways.
O peace, sweet joy that gives, happy the heart that in thy presence lives.
Sisters, I hear them call, these strains must end. Let us once more upon our Queen attend.
End of Act 2. Act 3 of Esther by Jean Racine. Translated by Robert Bruce Boswell. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3. Scene, Esther's garden and one side of a pavilion where a banquet is being held. Scene 1. Haman, Zeresh.
This, then, is Esther's garden, gay with flowers, and this the tent spread for the royal feast. But while its door is little fast shut, do thou list to the counsel of a wife who fears thy rashness? By the sacred bond between us, conceal, my lord, this wrath that blinds thy judgment, clear from thy brow that frown of discontent, reproaches and complaints no king can bear. Of all the court thou only be the queen art bidden, then enjoy this happiness. Against the ill that galls thee weigh the good. Have I not heard thee say 100 times, the man too proud to swallow an affront, or wear a mask upon his countenance, should ne'er set foot within the courts of kings? There are mishaps a wise man must endure. Oft has an insult borne without resentment served as a stepping-stone to highest honours.
O grief! O torture insupportable! O shame that never can be blotted out! A cursed Jew, humanity's disgrace, has by my hands in purple been arrayed. Not only did he triumph over me, I was myself his herald and proclaimed his glory, while he mocked at my confusion. And all the people, too, saw with derision my crimsoned countenance, and drew therefrom sure sign and presage of my coming fall. Such sports as these delight thee, cruel king. On me thou hast deceitful favors lavished, only to make me feel thy tyranny the more, and crush me with the greater shame.
Judge not the king so ill. His only motive is to reward a good and loyal service. Must it not rather be matter for wonder that payment should have been postponed so long? Besides, it was thine own advice he followed. Thou didst thyself dictate this sorry pageant. Thy rank is only second to his own. Knows he thy detestation of this Jew?
He knows that all he has he owes to me, that I have trodden underfoot for him remorse and fear and shame, with heart of brass advanced his power, reduced the laws to silence, and midst the groans of innocence have sought and cherished for his sake curses and hatred. And for reward, I find myself exposed by his barbarity to jeers and laughter.
We are alone. Why should we glose the truth? This seal on his behalf, that sacrificed so much to make him great, between ourselves, was not thine own promotion its sole end, to go no farther than these wretched Jews? Dost thou not offer them in sacrifice to thine own spleen? Hast thou no cause to fear malicious whispers? All at court are foes, the people hate us. Ay, this very Jew, laden with honours, moves my dread in spite of mine own self. Ills are oft linked together, his race was always fatal to thine own. Learn how to profit by this light affront. Fortune makes ready, it may be, to quit thee, her fickle wheel lifts up but to cast down. Forestall her humour ere her hand grows weary. What lure attracts thee higher? Gulfs abysmal that open out before me make me shudder. If thou shouldest slip, frightful would be thy fall. Seek somewhere else a calmer destiny, back to that distant Hellespont return, the refuge of thy wandering sires of yore, when Israel's vengeance, kindled a fierce fire, drove out all Amalek from wasted Seir. Ere it be too late, hide thee from fortune's spite, our richest treasures shall be sent before us. Leave me to manage the departure hence, and, above all, secure our children's flight. Meanwhile, be only careful to conceal thy purpose. Gladly will I follow thee, as thou shalt see. The stormiest winds and waves are safer far than this deceitful court. But I see someone walking quickly towards thee. It is Hydaspes.
Scene 2. Haman, Zeresh, Hydaspes. Hydaspes to Haman.
I am come to fetch thee, whilst thou art absent. Joy is in abeyance. The king has sent me for thee. Linger not.
Tell me, is Mordecai among the guests?
Take not that face of gloom to Esther's table. Why should this Jew for ever blast thy peace? Let him enjoy a triumph of no moment. He cannot think thus to escape the rigour of the king's sentence. Dost thou not possess his ear and heart? The punishment of crime will follow zeal rewarded, and thy victim is decked for sacrifice. I am much mistaken, or thou shalt reap, supported by the queen, success beyond thy hopes.
Can I believe these happy tidings?
I have heard the answer of the diviners, that a foreign traitor in the queen's blood seeks to imbrue his hand, and, knowing not where else to fix the guilt, the king imputes it to the Jews alone.
Aye, they are monsters. He has cause to dread their daring leader most of all, my friend. Earth has endured the loathsome race too long. The sooner she is rid of them, the better. Ah, I can breathe at last. Farewell, dear Zeresh.
Esther's companions are advancing near us, with songs no doubt to celebrate the feast. Enter, and be assured of ready welcome.
Scene 3. Elizabeth, the chorus.
'Tis Haman.
Yes, 'tis he. I know him well, and tremble.
Fear and horror round me press.
'Tis the proud enemy of Israel.
Ay, he who troubles all the earth no less.
Who, seeing, cannot recognize that face? Pride and disdain each feature plainly shows.
His eye with rage and wildest fury glows.
Before him death seems constantly to pace.
Does this fell tiger know his destined prey? For when he cast on us his hungry eyes, a fierce delight therein appeared to play, whereat I still feel fear and horror rise.
How this new honor will increase his pride? To Esther's board he hastes with willing feet. I see him, sisters, boldly take his seat, as though it were his right, at the king's side.
Tell me, attendants at the feast, what fare, what wine for cruel Haman ye prepare?
The orphan's blood.
The tears of the oppressed.
Such are the dainties that delight him best.
No other drink he finds so rich and rare.
Dear sisters, let your grief be hushed awhile. They bid us sing. Oh, may our songs have skill, the king from his harsh temper to beguile, as David erst Saul's jealous rage could still, and with sweet strains divert his savage will.
All the rest of this scene is sung.
What happiness those subjects find, whose king magnanimous and kind, dreaded by others, to their love doth cling. Oh, happy such a people, such a king!
Oh, sweet and calm repose! What a firm pledge it is of joy and peace, when a wise monarch knows how to make truth and righteousness increase, and prudent counsel shows.
Ye kings, drive calumny away, her slanderous assaults can mar states that at peace and quiet are, to discord harmony betray.
Ye kings, drive calumny away, her slanderous assaults can mar states that at peace and quiet are, to discord harmony betray.
Thirsting for blood she madly tracks, the pure and blameless everywhere. Kings of her murderous tongue beware, that slays the good behind their backs.
Thirsting for blood she madly tracks,
the pure and blameless everywhere. Kings of her murderous tongue beware, that slays the good behind their backs. This monster ere her prey she grips, oft times a mask of mildness wears. Fear her, for in her heart she bears revenge with piety on her lips.
This monster ere her prey she grips, oft times a mask of mildness wears.
Fear her, for in her heart she bears revenge with piety on her lips. Subtle and dexterous deceit strews all her paths with blossoms gay, but in her rear along the way comes vain regret with tardy feet.
Subtle and dexterous deceit strews all her paths with blossoms gay, but in her rear along the way comes vain regret with tardy feet.
As thunder clouds before the north wind fly, and threatening tempests vanish from the sky, so treacherous imposture cannot brook an upright monarch's lie-dispelling look.
A king with conquest crowned we praise, whose valor wins victorious bays, but one who hates injustice and is wise, who suffers not the poor to feel the pressure of the rich man's heel, as heaven's fairest gift we well may prize.
The widow trusts him, and well armed is she.
A father to the fatherless is he.
The just man's tears, appealing to his might, are precious in his sight.
Turn, turn thine ears, great king, away from cruel counsels by deception bred. The time is come, awake today, ere guiltless blood thine hand unwitting shed, while slumbers on thine eyelids weigh. Turn, turn thine ears, great king, away from cruel counsels by deception bred.
So may the whole world tremble neath thine arm, so may thy valor far renowned avail, to strike thy foes ever with fresh alarm. If they attack thee, may they quickly fail. Let them be routed by thy strong right hand, the terror of thy name their troops disband. May their vast host like feeble infants yield, when they the onset of thy soldiers meet. If by one line of march they take the field, may thousands be too few for their retreat.
Scene 4. Ahasuerus, Esther, Haman, Elizabeth, the chorus. Ahasuerus to Esther.
Ah, yes, thy slightest words have secret charms. A graceful modesty on every act bestows a value above gold and purple. What happy crime concealed so rare a treasure? Who was the virtuous mother at whose breast thine infancy was nursed, whose wise hand trained thy childhood? Tell me quickly thy request. Whatever thou desirest shall be granted. E'en shouldst thou ask, dear Esther, half my kingdom. So have I said, and gladly say again.
No such exorbitant desire is mine. But since I must at last explain my sighs, saying my king himself will have me speak.
She casts herself at the king's feet.
I venture to beseech thee for my life, and for the lives of all that hapless race, which thou hast doomed to be destroyed with me.
Ahasuerus lifting her up.
Destroyed with thee? What mystery is this?
Haman aside.
I tremble.
Esther's father was a Jew. Thou knowest, sire, thy pitiless decree.
Haman aside.
Gods!
Oh, how deeply dost thou pierce my heart! The daughter of a Jew? My best beloved, my Esther, innocence and gentleness itself, whom I esteemed heaven's choicest gift, could she have sprung from origin so vile? Wretched am I.
Thou mayest reject my prayer, but I would claim at least as a last boon that thou shouldst hear my story to the end, nor suffer Haman's voice to interrupt.
Speak.
O my God, confound shameless imposture. These Jews of whom thou wouldst rid the world, whom thou dost deem the refuse of mankind, were once possessors of a wealthy land, and, while they still adored their father's God, found that his blessing brought prosperity. This God, sole master of the earth and skies, cannot be represented to the sight by any form. Jehovah is his name, the world's creator. When the meek are wronged, he hears their sighs, judges with equal laws all mortals, yea, examines kings themselves from his high throne. He but withdraws his hand, and strongest states fall with a startling crash. The Jews presumed to worship other gods. King, people, all were scattered in a day, and Babylon's yoke of slavery was made the just reward of their ingratitude. But to requite our masters in their turn, the Lord chose Cyrus ere he saw the light, promised his aid, and called him by his name. Born in due time, he armed him with his thunders, to break their ramparts down and gates of brass. Into his hands gave princes for a spoil, avenged his temple's pillage and destruction, and for our tears forced Babylon to pay with usury. Victorious through him, Cyrus proclaimed his praise and favored us, his people, gave us back our laws and feasts divine, and from its ruins raised the temple. But his mad son, heir of so wise a father, forbade the progress of the work begun. Deaf to our cries, God cast his stock aside, cut off the monster, put thee in his place. What hoped we not from such a noble king? God, pitying, looks on his unhappy people, we said. A king now reigns who is the friend of innocence. His mercy was extolled by all, and from the Jews loud shouts of joy were heard. What gracious heaven! Must the ear of princes the most mild be aye beset by cruelty, and goodness at its source be poisoned? From the heart of Thrace there came a savage born and bred, here to breathe forth slaughter and threats, a minister who hates thy greatest glory.
I? Canst thou believe it? I have no other end, no other God.
Be silent, till I order thee to speak.
Our cruel enemy betrays himself. Yes, it is he, that barbarous minister, who has deceived thee with a cloak of zeal, and armed thy virtue against innocence. Who but a ruthless Scythian, O my God, could have suggested such a frightful order? One simultaneous signal everywhere will fill with murders the astonished world, seeing a foreign traitor in the name of the most just of kings wasting thy realms, while in thy place, victims of his wrath, thy slaughtered subjects with their blood defile the throne. What crime does his envenomed hatred charge to the Jews? Have they awakened war within thy borders? Have they joined thy foes? Was ever thraldom's yoke more mildly borne? Adoring in their chains God's chastisement, whilst thou with heavy hand upon them laid, didst give them up defenceless to their foes. They still besought that God to guard thy life, to shatter the devices of the wicked, and o'er thy throne to spread his shadowing wings. He has been thine upholder, doubt it not. Parthian and Indian he alone subdued beneath thy feet, scattered the countless hosts of Scythia, and enclosed the seas within thy vast domains. He, to a Jew, revealed the plot two traitors hatched against thy life. Alas, I was that Jew's adopted daughter.
What? Mordecai?
He only of our house remained, my father's brother, like myself, from our first king's unhappy blood descended. Viewing with horror an Amalekite, one of a race cursed by our God himself, he could not bow the knee before this Haman, nor pay him honours that he thinks are due to thee alone. Hence, howsoe'er disguised, this hatred 'gainst the Jews and Mordecai, in vain hast thou bestowed on him thy favours. At Haman's door already is prepared the instrument of ignominious death. Within an hour this venerable man, dragged by his order from thy palace gates, wearing thy purple robe, is to be hanged.
What dreadful light bursts on my startled soul! How my blood boils with anger and with shame! I was the dupe, then. Heaven vouchsafe to make this matter clear. A moment let me have to breathe alone. Call Mordecai. I'll hear his story too.
The king retires.
Let truth from heaven appear.
Scene 5. Esther, Haman, Elizabeth, the chorus. Haman to Esther.
I am confounded with astonishment, deceived, betrayed by the Jews' enemies. Heaven be my witness that I thought to make thy life secure, whoever else might perish. Command my influence on their behalf. The king, as thou canst see, wavers perplexed. I can restrain him, I can urge him on, and at my pleasure raise or lull the storm. Behold, me willing to befriend the Jews. Speak, and the instant slaughter of your foes, victims to ratify a solemn oath, shall make atonement for my fatal error. What blood dost thou require?
Go, traitor, leave me. The Jews want nothing from a wretch like thee. God, the avenger of the innocent, already weighs thee in the scales of justice. Soon will his righteous sentence be pronounced. Tremble, his day draws nigh. Thy reign is past.
Yea, I confess your God is to be feared. But doth he bid you keep relentless hatred? My pride is humbled. I am forced to beg for mercy. Haughty Haman kneels before thee.
He casts himself at her feet.
As thou wouldst save thy people, and dost honor thine uncle's hoary head, by these thy feet which I embrace, appease a dreadful king. Save Haman, crouching, trembling at thy knees.
Scene 6. Ahasuerus, Esther, Haman, Elizabeth the chorus, and guards.
What? Dares the traitor lay his hands on thee? In the confusion of his look I read his perfidy, confirming all thy words, and his whole course of villainy recalling. Let not this monster live a moment longer. At his own door, instead of Mordecai, both heaven and earth appeasing by his death, let him afford a feast for just revenge.
Haman is led away by the guards. Scene 7. Ahasuerus, Esther, Mordecai, Elizabeth the chorus. Ahasuerus continuing to address Mordecai.
Mortal beloved of heaven, my soul's preserver, no more am I the prey of evil counsels. Mine eyes have been unsealed, and crime confounded. Come, shine beside me in thy proper sphere. I give thee Haman's wealth and Haman's power. Justly possess what his injustice seized. I break the yoke neath which the Jews have groaned. To them I yield the blood of all their foes. Henceforth let Jews be honoured equally with Persians. All shall tremble at the name of Esther's God. rebuild his temple, fill your wasted cities. Let your happy seed with sacred triumph celebrate this day, and in their memory live my name for aye.
Scene 8. Ahasuerus, Esther, Mordecai, Asaph, Elizabeth, the chorus.
What is it, Asaph?
He is dead, O king, half torn asunder by the people's fury. Dragged through the streets, the traitor's mangled corpse they bear, the horrid spectacle of blood.
May heaven ever guard our monarch's life. The Jews are in sore peril and in need of instant succour.
Yes, I understand thee. Let us go countermand the bloody orders of wicked Haman.
God, thy will is wrought by ways of wisdom that pass human thought.
Scene 9. The chorus.
That innocence has triumphed, God be praised. To celebrate his power our voices raised.
He saw the wicked leagued against our life, laid bare the murderous knife, to shed our blood like water on the ground. His voice from heaven doth sound, and the proud boaster wallows in the dust, his own sharp arrows in his bosom thrust.
I saw the bold blasphemer set on high, like the tall cedar did he lift his head, whose branches far above the earth are spread. He seemed to wield the thunders of the sky. His vanquished foes beneath him did he tread. Scarce had I passed, and God had struck him dead.
I'll counsel oft the justice kings beguiles, themselves too upright to deceive. Heedless of toils the wicked weave, they fall an easy prey to subtle wiles. A noble heart is backward to believe another's malice, to his baseness blind, by its own feelings to judge all inclined.
How has the storm been hushed to peace?
Whose hand has made the tempest cease?
To
gentle Esther owe we this release.
Her heart was kindled by the love of God, ready to meet her death with dauntless breast. Her ardent zeal the path of danger trod. She dared to speak, and heaven has done the rest.
Esther has triumphed. Persia's dames retire, to swell her charms nature and heaven conspire.
What guileless graces in each glance are seen! Say, was there ever such a lovely queen?
The virtues of her heart yet more abound. Was ever queen so good and gracious crowned? Esther has triumphed. Persia's dames retire, to swell her charms nature and heaven conspire.
My God, O Zion, is displeased no more. Rejoice, and out of dust and ashes rise. Throw off the garment that the captive wore, and let thy former splendor greet our eyes. The ways lie open to your land again. Break every chain, tribes captive bound on foreign ground. Gather from east and west and south and north. Those seas and mountains must be passed. Go forth.
Break every chain,
tribes captive bound on foreign ground. Gather from east and west and south and north. Those seas and mountains must be passed. Go forth.
Those fields beloved once more shall meet mine eye.
I'll weep where my forefathers' ashes lie.
Gather from east and west and south and north. Those seas and mountains must be passed. Go forth.
Once more the stately porches raise of God's own temple, where he heareth prayer. To deck his altar purest gold prepare. Out of the mountains hew ye marbles rare. Dark Lebanon let fall thine ancient cedars tall. Make ready, holy priests, to sing his praise.
To dwell with us again doth God descend. Tremble thou earth with gladness and with fear, his holiness and glory to revere. Ye heavens in lowliest adoration bend.
How good is Israel's God! His yoke how sweet! Bless those who in their youth that sweetness know. Ye children, run that gracious Lord to meet. No earthly pleasure can for charm compete. What heartfelt joys that from his presence flow! How good is Israel's God! His yoke how sweet! Bless those who in their youth that sweetness know.
Ready to pardon and forego his wrath of thankless souls that wander from his path. he waiteth the return. He can excuse our weak and wayward wills, to seek us he doth yearn. Less tenderness for her own offspring fills a mother's heart. Ah, who can share the love we owe to God above?
We in his might alone have victory won.
His glory shineth on us like the sun.
Ah, who can share the love we owe to God above? Blessed be his holy name, his name adore, his mighty acts enforce, till time has run its course. Praise him forever and forevermore.
End of Act 3. End of Esther by Jean Racine, translated by Robert Bruce Boswell.